50,000 fans attend massive rock concert in COVID-free New Zealand.
Here's a summary of the article.
As the rest of the world isolates, New Zealand rocks. More than 50,000 people gathered for a massive rock concert in the island nation, which is free of social distancing requirements after virtually stamping out COVID-19 with strict policies. The band 660 has been playing to huge crowds across the county, and its Saturday tour finale in Auckland's biggest stadium was billed as the largest concert in the world since the pandemic began. It wasn't just Kiwi rock fans who got to gather this weekend, with 78,113 fans packing into a stadium in neighbouring Australia for an Aussie rules match football match on Sunday. The game, between the Collingwood Magpies and Essendon Bombers at the 100,000-seater Melbourne Cricket Ground, was the highest attendance at any sports stadium since the pandemic started. Last year's clash between the teams was played in an empty stadium, and fans roared back Sunday for the game that fell on Anzac Day, a day of remembrance in both Australia and New Zealand. But the people wanted it. And the people spoke, Walters said, as he invited the PM to the next gig.
This post received a score of 51,000, with an upvote ratio of 86%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Greater than only 26 people have died of the coronavirus in the nation of 5 million. Absolute madness.
And Vietnam, with the population of nearly 100 million, only about 40 deaths.
How did Vietnam control it so effectively? Being from India, I just can't wrap my head around it.
They learned their lessons from SARS. They were ready to close their borders hard and early, and keep them that way.
Meanwhile, Canada. Oh, come in, pretty please quarantine when you arrive.
Vietnam could keep the tourists out. Canada can't keep citizens out.
They kept out citizens as well. All flights had to go through the embassy, and when they landed, mandatory 28-day army barracks quarantine.
Wow, a policy that puts the population's health over individual inconveniences.
Call me a commie, but when it comes to health, barring violating body autonomy, I believe the government should always act within the best interest of the majority of its citizens.
IDK not having the health system fall over is kinda in everyone's interests.
Prime Minister Helen Clark whoops just a decade or so out there. NY Post.
WTF, how can they be so fucking useless?
Greater than WTF, how can they be so fucking useless? In 1976, Rupert Murdoch bought the Post for $30.5 million United States dollars.
Makes sense.
Taiwan has been having concerts and raves etc. for most of 2020.
That's because they did what we all should have done right from the start. And New Zealand followed the example of places like Taiwan, which is why they are now able to have a concert. Fun fact, Taiwan recorded its 10th COVID-related death last month. Not the 10th death of that month, the 10th death since this shit began. Anyone who says this couldn't have been handled better is a fucking liar. Cough, Boris Johnson, cough.
We've been having concerts and gigs the whole pandemic except a single month. This is far from the first, just the largest crowd in a month or two.
Here I am in India, making calls to arrange oxygen cylinder since there are no hospital beds.
You know shit's bad when politicians and their relatives start dying in India.
Pale death comes equally to the poor man's gate and the palace of kings.
I am stealing this. What a wonderfully poetic statement. Edit. A quote by the Roman poet, Horace. Makes sense now.
The band that played was 660.
So it wasn't a rock concert then? I just looked them up and they sound like what Coles plays in the maternity section. I think these days, rock just means music with a guitar in it.
Even if only on the album art.
I loved NZ, but I moved back to Canada in 2017, ironically to spend more time with my parents before they die. Now I haven't seen them since 2019 anyway, and BC is in the worst state yet for the virus. So much regret right now.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.